Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for nearly 500 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideoGamesPodcast. Dude of the week is Efren A. Thank you, Efren.
Thank you, Efren.
Long-term dude. I don't know if you're on a different screen name than you were before or what, but I think this is your first time dude of the week, but you've been with us forever, so thank you so much. This is going to be a fun episode to be the dude of the week for, because we basically just been having a conversation about realism can suck it, or reality can suck it.
Kind of more of an epiphany I had because I recently started playing GTA 5.
I'm sorry, you played GTA 5?
Yeah, so GTA 5 got added to Game Pass, and I was just kind of like, all right, sure, why
do
not?
it.
Why not? Whatever.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
I don't. Because I had claimed the game years ago on EGS, on a different computer when it was a free game offered. I claimed it but never downloaded it, and then I got a new computer and it's like you'd have to reinstall EGS, and I'm like, no.
And yeah, if you can avoid, if there's one store in particular that you can avoid, you should avoid the EA store. But the second one that you should avoid is EGS.
So this came on Game Pass, and I'm like, sure, why not? Because I'm in like a sort of Claire obscure Expedition 33 waiting room.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, it's free. It's on Game Pass. Why not?
You're not going to do Oblivion? That's not going to be your waiting game?
But yeah, that came out, that came out before this was recorded. It basically got spoiled in rumor, quote unquote. Insider said it was coming. It was probably going to be a shadow drop. And then it was like sometime in April, and April came like, yeah, it's towards the end of April. Yeah, it's going to be on this week. Yeah, it's going to be this day. And then, okay. And then, yeah, lo and behold, like yesterday, they're like, we're gonna have a thing to show off tomorrow, and everyone's like, yeah, we know it's Oblivion. It's been leaked.
The only thing that I'm gonna say from like the people mad about it, there's people mad about it. It's not even really out yet. Is someone was like, oh, the original was 7 gigs. Actually, although
four and something gigs, and this is like 120 now or something.
Yeah, so I've seen people like I think a couple people have just been like, that's insane. Like, that's an insane growth. But then there's people actually like mad about it. People have been like, there's no reason for this. And it's like, okay, but you realize the graphics level, like the reason games are so big now.
You have to understand, like, this is what happens when textures are in this resolution, like, yeah, it's kind of incredible they had that much voice work and voice sample work in the original game, and it was as big as it was. But yeah, on the other hand, yeah, this is the physical like space cost of putting games in 4K. So
insane. But yeah, so there's I'm excited to play it, see if the nostalgia holds up for me. I suspect it won't.
I have nothing nice to say about this game. So
about the remake or about Oblivion generally?
And either in Oblivion in general, like,
how dare you?
The ugliest. The thing is it's so much better looking now, but also somehow worse because now it's got a weird brown filter on it. So they replaced the bloom and the overly brightness with like brown. it's I don't know. It's a bizarre looking. It's a choice. It's definitely a choice. But
is that just like the sections surrounding the capital where it's like it's supposed to be,
yeah,
dry and draughty, or is it everywhere?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I couldn't really tell you. Just what I've seen of screenshots and the little announcement video they put out today. It was like, oh wow, it's brown. Huh.
Okay, well, I'm gonna see if my nostalgia holds up. We're gonna find out.
I highly, here's the thing. I highly suspect if you're an Elder Scrolls fan, you're gonna enjoy this. I highly suspect that.
Here's the thing. I don't know that I would say that I'm necessarily like an Elder Scrolls fan. Like, I'm not like in love with it, but I did enjoy Skyrim and I did enjoy Oblivion.
Yeah.
Now, granted, do I think that there were better games to remake? Morrowind would have been a nice one because I never played Morrowind, and like I would be down for a remake of that. But apparently, only a few dozen people played Morrowind. They all loved it, but it didn't sell anywhere near like Oblivion did, I guess. So I guess the next
Oblivion
remake
had
we'll
that
see is
sort of like
Skyrim.
it was close to, if not, it was like close to launch of the 360 or something. So it kind of had that sort of advantage, you know?
Yeah, it was also like the first really big 3D RPG that I played.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's true for a lot of people my age. Like it just hit at the exact right time with the right
Yeah.
console.
It wasn't quite launch. It was a little after launch. It was in March. Oh, well, oh, I see. It was March 20th, 2006. So they tried to line it up almost perfectly to 19 year 19 years later or whatever, but
Beautiful. Beautiful. But speaking of all the brown, I don't want that in a fantasy game. Now, granted, there's sections of Avowed that is very brown, but like most of Avowed is like really brightly colored. Actually, no, there's
yeah.
like a second half of Avowed is a desert. Like you're in a couple of deserty areas. It's still pretty, but it's not like drab necessarily, but it is desert. So if you don't like deserts, that's rough. But I don't want a realistic like the seasons here in the height of summer for this, and so everything's brown and honey colored. No, just give me bright greens and beautiful scenery, even when it doesn't make sense. That's all I want in a fantasy game. I don't need realism there. It's sort of how like
Right.
we were talking about in what GTA 5, you're like, there's plenty of things that like if they made it realistic, it would be bad. For instance, if you touch a stripper in GTA, you don't get the shit kicked out of you. Like, if you run somebody over in front of a cop, probably going to be okay.
Yeah, or like, well, there is like the super fantasy of like lose the cops. You have helicopters on you, and all you have to do is like go hide in a ditch somewhere for a little bit, and they just completely lose sight of you somehow.
Yeah, that works in real life. You've never tried that?
Sure.
Never tried. Never tried. I did see a video of a chase recently where the helicopter did lose where the guy was. And then you just see a cop who is apparently just in the best shape of his life high jump over a fence. And like all of a sudden they find the guy again because this cop never lost him, just bloodhounds him. like like the helicopter's following him through all these like back houses and the guy's like twisting and turning and going under trees, and then finally the helicopter's like, we lost him on such and such street, and then you just see this dude out of nowhere come sprinting in full gear, hop over a fence, and then you see the guy just start running again, just bloodhounding. So maybe helicopters aren't as effective as you think. maybe you should
Either way, like
maybe you should
they
try and get away with it, guys. Go
yeah, right.
whatever it
So
is that you're hoping to do.
yeah, I mean it's still a very it's a fantasy game. Like I'll say this, like the setting is boring to me. I see why people like it, but for me, I'm like it is because
Why
GTA
what
5
makes
is it's Los Angeles. I, I I live here.
Yeah, you also
It's like
actively despise LA.
well, I mean, the kind of like because the thing is like they do this thing where like oh you drive down these locations, which is funny because it is it's Los Santos, right? It's not LA, but they recreate things down to the nitty gritty, and it is just a sort of condensed, shorter version of it. And I'm like, look at that. That is the exact place, in front of the pier in Santa Monica. And I'm like, and they end the pier itself, and where they put stuff on the pier is exactly the same as Santa Monica. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, cool. Like I could go to this. Like this is like a real thing. Like
Yeah, but for like a
I wouldn't
lot of
because the
people.
traffic sucks or whatever. But like the thrill of being in a real city is then it's just like LA. I'm like, sure, I live here. I
Well,
would
it's all
go,
burnt down now, so
yeah. Well, according to the rest of the country, but um, no, actually,
it's all
I
gone. It's Mad Max world
no.
out.
So I took a actually, kind of a funny story. Like a little while ago, like I decided to take a drive because they finally opened up, the
PCH
the
and stuff.
yeah PCH and stuff. So I was like, oh, this so I went and took a look. What the burned out areas of the big LA fires, and it looks like Princess Mononoke.
Really?
The ending of that movie, because there was a bunch of rain afterwards, and so everything's burned, right? And then there's just like this little fuzz, like
Of
this
green?
little
Yeah.
green fuzz, just overgrowing over the entirety of this burned out area.
Huh.
So it just looks like that now. Um,
Well, until whoever bought up all the real estate starts building.
yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there because who knows, but yeah, like yeah, like so just the idea of oh, you could drive around the city, or you could drive around like these junky desert towns, which you could also do if you live in LA. You could drive out to the Inland Empire, or just stop anywhere on the way to Vegas.
Nah, you got to
It's
go
just
out to Joshua Tree. If you're in
Joshua
LA,
Tree.
you want to be cool. Joshua Tree used to be the cheap hippie town
Yeah.
and like version of Palm Springs, but then all
Hmm.
the rich hippies found out about it and bought up all the cheap houses out there.
Yeah.
Now it's my
So
writing retreat. It's where I do poetry.
writing retreat, Jesus.
I wish that was
So yeah, it doesn't have anywhere near the much. It's just crazy. Look at the city skyline. Yeah, sure. Like there's plenty of places you can drive around and see the LA city skyline, or just be in the city of LA. Like it doesn't. It has there's no magical
spoiled.
appeal in that for me, and I don't think they're not. Again, I've not played GTA 4. I mean, I played a little bit of GTA 4, and the game controlled like shit. This game does too, by the way. And this
Rockstar game, yeah.
it's better than 4, at least the car controls,
Is
anyways.
it or is it just been long enough that you don't remember for
No, I think the cars definitely control better in 5 than they did in 4. But GTA 3 and 4, I'm like, have ever made me ever want to see New York? No, I don't care. Spider-Man didn't want to make me visit New York either. Like nothing about me. Like I've never been to New York. Nothing in these video games has ever made it seem alluring at all. It
not
just looks
once you've
it just
never.
just looks like a big smelly city to me. Like what's the appeal?
Yeah, you got to go in spring or fall. You go at the wrong time in summer, just hot garbage.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and in Vice City in 6 when it comes out, like, oh, does it make you want to visit Miami? No.
Have you ever been to Miami?
No. Well, flown in. I've flown in and out of Miami.
Miami's actually kind of a cool city. I
Andrew's
would never
about to
want to live
bust.
there.
He's about to bust into a Will Smith song here.
I would never want to live in Miami, but I would visit it. Have visited it.
Heard it got a little crazy recently, but I mean,
Uh,
that city may not even last till the end of the century. Who knows?
it's not even. It's not that the city itself is like bad or anything like that. It's there's only really like 2 or 3 jobs to have in Miami, and like 2 of them is like inheritance law and real estate.
Hmm.
And from every interaction I've ever had, and from interactions with people who have had interactions with it, like both are scams.
Yeah.
Both are just like, and then the last job is like there's a lot of service industry jobs because it's a big tourist
Yeah.
area. But like, anybody that's ever had a retail slash service job knows that you just get shit on all day.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason I wouldn't want to live like.
Real estate until it's underwater.
Yeah, but
Literally.
even then Miami exists in a constant state of boom and bust. It's always in a bubble or in a crash. There is never a stable time in
There's never
Miami.
still. Like I
It's
say, well,
insane.
eventually it'll be underwater, and then it'll just be
Just
Atlantis.
swamp. They'll just slowly put everything up on still. Actually, that'd be kind of a cool city. It'd be our little Venice.
Our little bit.
Like it's all canals and shit. That'd be cool, except there'd be big ass crocs and like snakes and stuff.
With crocodiles and cocaine. That's our Venice.
Hell, actually, You know what? No, there's vision here. There's something to this. You don't have to worry about the garbage. The Crocs take care of the garbage. Beautiful. Amazing. It's bad for the children, but you know, I hear
Someone's
what
gonna
you're
get
doing
mad
out.
at us for calling it. It's gators in Florida. It's alligators, not crocodiles, sir. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
It's gator.
it's gators all over the South, I think. I don't think there's like much. If there's crocodiles, there's not much.
It's
I'm not sure
gators.
though.
It's gator country. Gatorade.
My when I first moved to the South, my dad being like, "Well, there's gators everywhere." I was like, "Yeah, actually, the city I live in, it's just gators walking down the street. You got to be careful of the gators on the street, you know." And it's legal open carry down here, so the gators are all armed. You can't just shoot at the gator. The gator's gonna shoot.
They shoot back. Have you seen an alligator?
No, fuck. I live in a city.
Okay, yeah. So like,
I'm
just
not.
you're not even once, not even just like in like like a
Oh,
sewage pipe or
like
a drainage pipe or anything.
you mean here? No, but I've pet a 16-foot crocodile.
Sure, but I mean, like, have
I
you seen a
should not
wild
have.
gator? I've been to Florida a couple times in my life. I've sadly never seen an alligator.
No, because they don't. I mean, they're absolutely all over the South, but it's not like they're just like wandering around every highly populated area. Like it's not like any wild animal. They're
I mean,
probably a little freaked out.
one came and ate a kid at a Disney World resort once, which was kind of insane. But if you read the details of that case, it's kind of like, okay, well, it wasn't like the kid was riding Small World and a gator came out of the water and just bit him. No, it was they were at a natural, they were hanging out on the shore of a natural swamp at 9 p.m. and gator came up and took a bite.
Yeah,
So, which makes
I
you wonder, what are you doing? What are you doing there at that time of night with a whatever?
friggin' 10 years ago now. I was in Costa Rica. I think it's Tortuguero. Uh, it's in the middle of this like national forest in Costa Rica. It's this little town, and there's just like tons of crocs and gators and like caimans and
Mm,
I think it's crocs and not gators. Big, and at one point there was like way more around the area, and then one time a gator ate a kid, and so the whole town rose up and like just started hunting crocs, and the government had to step in because they were hunting them all to extinction over the course of a couple of weeks.
Jesus.
Yeah, they were just all like, not my kids. Now it's like you can, when you're on the boat in, because you have to go by boat up like a river
Yeah.
um to get to the town, you can see just like beaches with several large crocodiles and stuff, and like, caimans are tiny,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're very cool looking. uh
That's almost upsetting, because the thing is, I'm not really mad at a crocodile or a gator for eating a person. I'm like, they're just doing what they do, you know? Like, I don't know. It just feels wrong to me.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. We kill bears that eat people.
Yeah, but
You
I
don't
mean,
want an animal to get a you don't
what
want
are
a
we
wild
doing
animal to
near a
get a
bear?
taste.
Yeah, that's true. I get it. I just feel bad for the gators. Like I would love to go if I, I don't want to, but like if I was going to Florida and I'm not going to a theme park, um, I'd want to go to a golf course just on the option that one of those massive Jurassic Park sized alligators walks by.
I
I just
bet
want to see that. I don't care about the golf. I just want to see a gator that looks like it was green screened in into real life walk in front of me.
you sign up for one of the Everglades tours and you go out on a fan boat and they'll take whole ass chickens to throw them to bring gators out. You can see big gators if you want to see big gators.
Huh.
Or you go to Mississippi and you can find a dude named Earl who will wrestle a gator for you. Okay. Like those dudes are fearless. I know there's the thing is, I know there's like supposedly some trick that makes wrestling a gator in the way that they do it actually surprisingly easy slash safe because they
Mm.
can't open. I don't know. I know there's a whole thought process that makes it not crazy, but it's crazy, right? Like, you're
I
just
mean,
like,
it's
this is
great. I mean, I
crazy.
wouldn't want to. I just want to see a massive fat gator
Yeah,
just walk in front of me. Just,
a lot of
I just want to
pets.
see that.
Not a lot of stray dogs down in Florida, I imagine.
Speaking of, so they opened that new theme park. Well, it hasn't opened yet. It opens in a month, but they've had all the passport holders and all the influencers there. They have the new Epic Universe down there, and there's something that
Oh,
was kind of interesting, really interesting, because they have multiple guest shops, whatever, just the souvenir shops, right? And there's a Nintendo one that is not, well, it's not Mario or Donkey Kong themed, right? Not necessarily.
Huh.
And someone was taking pictures and they're showing it, and there's like this big like round area with this big round thing of stained glass windows. And the thing that was so weird was that they had Zelda stained glass windows in this one gift shop, and it was Twilight Princess designs, Twilight Princess, Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. It was not Tears of the Kingdom, not Breath of the Wild, not even Wind
Hmm.
Waker. It was Twilight Princess specific.
Mm.
Very bizarre. I don't know. Like, it's not something that's gotten out a lot because it's a gift shop. Most people are talking about the rides or the lands or the experiences and what have you. But I just thought that was kind of like a really weird, interesting thing. It's like, who asked me which version to use?
Yeah, it was. I wonder if it was like a design thing, just like that's who they picked because they like them, or if Nintendo
Yeah,
really
like,
even had input.
Max was saying that, like, hey man, we're building, like, he says this sounds like whoever was building, from the Universal Creative Department was like, look man, we're doing all this stuff for you, Nintendo. You got to give us a little bit of wiggle room. We want to go with this look, not that look. So, and, or maybe at the time this, because the designs for this are years old, right? When they were finalizing the plans for the park, nobody saw Tears of the Kingdom, right? Nobody
Right.
knew what Ganondorf was going to look like in that game. So they're like, well, we want to have Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. What was the last game that had Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf in it? And it was Twilight Princess, because Skyward Sword didn't have Ganondorf and Breath of the Wild doesn't have Ganondorf. So they're like, okay, well, this is the last time all three of them were in one game together. So like, okay, great, we're going to go with that design. Maybe it's something to that effect.
Nintendo, well known for the wiggle room it gives.
Right? Yeah, like,
yeah, I don't know. Now that I'm on this side of the country, maybe I'll go. I don't think I've never been to Orlando.
I
Not
mean,
one.
it's the only thing that sucks is the humidity. My God, it's rancid.
Yeah, you get used to it.
But I would never want to get used to that. That's like getting used to getting your dick kicked in. And just,
It's the same. It's the same humidity that's in like Hawaii. It's just that there's maybe less wind.
Hawaii has breeze, so Hawaii
Yeah,
has wind.
It's just breeze. But like here today, it was 88% humidity.
Oh my God! All I know is because you and I, we went to Hawaii, and the humidity that I experienced in Hawaii was absolutely nothing compared to the humidity I experienced in Orlando. And my fiance is my witness because she was at both, and trust me, it was significantly worse in Orlando.
You
than
get
it was
used
in
to it
Hawaii.
so fast, though.
I don't think you
get used to
do.
humidity so fast. So
I don't think I could. I don't know. I've never stayed in Orlando more than like 3 days, 3 or 4 days maximum. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that's definitely not enough time to get used to it, but Jesus.
nothing will ever beat the humidity. Like when I was in Thailand, there was just this one day where we were out walking and like the breeze just suddenly stopped. And it was like midday, and it was just like this. The sun felt like a heat lamp hitting you, and then it was like you were wrapped in a bunch of blankets. And like there was no breeze to move the air. And we were at this like outdoor market, and that's the worst it's ever been.
Stifling.
It's happened here once because the humidity here gets pretty rough. But I've gotten used to it now, so where it doesn't really bother me. And actually, I've found maybe it's just a me thing because there's several locals that can't stand. I'll do my yard work in the middle of the day when it's like humid and hot, and people are like, "Why are you doing that? Why you're insane?" And I was like, "It's the nicest time to do it. I don't have to worry about traffic. I can like just there's like loads of kids in this neighborhood, and it's cool to see latchkey kids. Because the internet says they don't exist anymore. But man, nothing's worse than trying to mow a lawn. And I know this is some real dad shit, but nothing is worse than trying to mow a lawn when a bunch of kids are on electric scooters, just like hopping curbs.
Yeah.
And
It's actually a thing out here too. I see electric scooters, electric bikes.
oh
all
yeah,
the
they're
time.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a kid today, I'd have an electric scooter. It'd be cool.
But yeah, it's pure jealousy for me because when I see a kid
Yeah,
with an electric bike or an electric scooter, I'm like, mother, where the Where the hell was that when I was growing up?
Somebody's out there being like, "Oh yeah, when I was a kid, we had to pedal." I don't give a shit. All right, give me the e-bike. That would have been sick. Okay. I'm just saying, and it's like people act like mopeds weren't a thing. Like, yeah, okay, the engine's electric now, but everybody wanted a moped when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There's this kid on my grandparents' block who built a moped, and he put like, one of those engines for like a weed whacker.
Yeah.
Like he put that on like an old skateboard type thing with like a. It was not a safe. It's not a safe
But you
system.
got to buy the ingenuity.
I did admire that. The skateboard caught fire at one point, but
Okay.
it's a vague memory. I don't remember exactly how it happened. I don't know if he spilt gas or what, because those weed whackers, you have to use like half gas, half oil.
Yeah.
And so when you're filling, it can be a little bit messy
The
and stuff. Yeah.
sparks can fly. Yeah.
Pretty
I was to
amazing.
say though, I mean, if there's one thing though that say GTA 6 won't have to worry about with regards to all this humidity in the South, won't have you don't have to feel the humidity when you're
Yeah.
playing that game. So I guess in a sense that the reality of that game is broken because you don't have to feel what it's like to walk around in 90% humidity in Florida weather.
What's the most realistic game you ever played?
Realistic?
Yeah, like it, like truly, like
Ugh.
it's
You
just
know,
real. Like it was.
probably Gran Turismo, and that's why it's so boring.
Oh, it sucks. Yeah. There's somebody out there being like, no, it's amazing, and they've
I mean,
got
this was the whole point of contention too for what I was talking about, where I was like, oh well, you can't drive those cars in real life. I'm like, yes, you can. You can literally go like there's places like in Vegas and other where you can rent, and it costs money, but like you can rent those cars and you can go on a lap around a course. You
yeah.
can go drive them. Like it is physically possible to do. Will I ever own those cars? No, but I can drive those cars on a course. Yes.
We've
That
got a
is something
friend.
I could physically do.
We've got a friend who did that for their bachelor party, but he has a full racing setup where he's got like the racing chair with the
Mhm.
full, like it's a full cockpit setup for racing, and like just the wheel is like several $100s, and he's got like a professional shifter, and it's like he does NASCAR, whatever the
Yeah, and
NASCAR game is. And it's like, I know there's people that love it. It still sucks. Like, I know that you love it, but like, come on, just get. That's why we're all Outrun people here. We're very excited for the Outrun.
yeah, Outrun, which yeah, like Michael Bay, the popular game Outrun, which is not even available to buy currently.
I
Uh,
just want to. Who was like, this is the game, and we're going to spend real money on it, so we're going to get Michael Bay, and it's going to star Sydney Sweeney, who is like current, Hollywood darling.
which
Like,
is this is I showed my boomerism because I'm like, I don't even know who this person is.
yeah, that's insane. That's crazy to me that you didn't know who she
I
was.
like it's
Uh,
Andrew's description was blonde, big boobs, good actor. He actually has acting chops.
good actor. Yeah.
Is willing to get naked in movies, which is probably why Michael Bay likes her,
My
according to you.
description was that it's exactly who Michael Bay would cast, but also she can actually act. Was my actual description. But
Which I'm like, yeah, I mean, like when you say it like this all lines up because Outrun is you're driving around in a convertible Ferrari. There's some blonde
person's hot.
bombshell, in the passenger seat, and if you do well, you get smoochy times or whatever at the end of a run and outrun. So it's like, okay, here we go.
Well, part of me is like, there's got to be some sort of comedy, because that's something like Sydney Sweeney has actual chops and she can do comedy, which, I can't think of anyone else that Michael Bay has ever cast. No, that's not true. Like, didn't Michael Bay cast like Liv Tyler? She's got chops.
She
She can do
was in
comedy.
Armageddon.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So he's cast people for other reasons than looks before. Now, granted, Liv Tyler's like to this day still one of the most beautiful women on the planet. So I guess he stays
Which I don't
on
understand
his record.
because her father's very ugly.
Yeah, but he was a rock star, so her mom is probably like extremely pretty.
I
really balances out.
have no
Actually,
idea who it is, but that's a line from Pirates 5, and it's always stuck to me because I can't remember who the actress was that played Barbossa's daughter in Pirates 5, but there's just a great moment where
she was in Skins. She is also a lady that has a bunch of chops. Like she did like
right. Well,
real drama and stuff.
yeah, but there's a line where Johnny Depp's talking to Jeffrey Rush or Jack to Barbossa, and he's just like, Hector, she's your. I have one question. You are very ugly. Like, how is she related to you? You
Very ugly.
you're very- He's just perplexed.
I forgot all about that movie. I forgot that was a Pirates film. It was just
It has a stacked ass cast too, because
it does,
Javier
yeah.
Bardem and stuff like that. But
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what's a game that would be like if survival horror was realistic, I think it wouldn't be nearly as fun. Even
oh
on that
no, it'd be
thing.
fucking miserable.
Like I can't think of a single game where realism is the like crowning, like it's why it's so good.
It's funny because like I did I
People love Arma.
downloaded right. I downloaded Microsoft Flight Sim when they had the Top Gun Maverick thing. I was like, okay, well let's fly a Navy. Well, I mean, obviously it's probably skewed a little or a lot because they probably don't want you to have any knowledge of flying a fighter jet, a real fighter jet. But
Oh, I mean, yes, the flight simulator does help learn a lot of the basics, but I promise you, no matter how good
I
you get at the flight sim, you're
I
not
can
gonna
tell you this: it actually wasn't nearly as fun as I thought it was going to be.
right because you're flying. Flying is so I'm
Trying to land that jet at one of at the naval base in San Diego, it was just like, oh, this isn't actually that fun.
so I was at a bachelor party in Vegas, and I happened to strike up a conversation with a guy who it turns out is a Top Gun pilot. He has an amazing call sign, but I'm not going to say it because he is an active guy, and I don't know what the thing is there. But by the way, you can tell someone's call sign is real if it makes them look like a dick, because there are no cool call signs.
Mm.
You don't get a cool call sign. Everyone comes up with a call sign that makes fun of you.
That's
It's
what that's all I've ever heard from from anyone I know who worked in the armed services.
yeah, like your call sign. You're not going to get like snake doctor. The only if it's a euphemism for you blowing a dude.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean legitimately, like they caught you blowing a dude, and now they're calling you snake doctor, and everyone's like, "Man,
Or
that's
Kanye at this point.
Kanye." That tweet was wild. Um, but he was talking about like I was like, "Hey, what's the scariest? Like, what's the thing that like your butthole was puckered?" He was like, "Oh, we were out on this training exercise once, and you're in a jet. Your fuel tanks have to stay even the whole time, and so there's this single pump that keeps injecting fuel evenly. Well, okay, his pump froze, which meant that he had a bunch of fuel, but it was no longer injecting, which means now he was only on reserve tanks, which
Mhm.
only lasts for a certain amount of time. So he didn't have enough fuel to get back to the ship, back to the aircraft carrier. So now he's using a grease pencil to do a bunch of math on a window while flying at the correct speed, several hundred miles an hour for the exercise, while his commanding officer that's leading the mission is screaming in one ear, panicking. And like the other ear, he's got like radio from the actual aircraft carrier trying to lead him through how to like maximize his fuel to get back and like
Yeah.
where to dump weight and stuff. He's doing, he's like, man, it's the worst math I've ever had to do. And he's just like, I'm just running through calculus and trying to do all this shit. And then all of a sudden the pump just like kicks back on and everything's fine and nobody talks about it ever again. And he was like, it was just, I was in a top of the line FA-18 like doing a shitload of math because I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, math or die, which I would just die. It would just
That's realism. Do you want realistic flight sim? Okay, your fuel injector has to fail, and now you got to do math on a window.
yeah. You thought
And
landing that plane in the NES Top Gun was hard? Ha.
that's that I've never being a pilot. One, you get screwed on pay because you get the office tax, right? You have the best office in the world, and so they pay you as little as possible. Um, but There's just something about being in a hunk of metal going several hundred miles an hour, and it's just like there's a little bit of plexiglass and like you're relying on an engineer's math being good and like a mechanic. Like, yeah, okay, there's laws of physics as to why you're flying. I understand that, but like part of me is never going to get over the fact of like, especially if you're fly by wire. I trust fly by wire more than I trust digital. Fly by wire is like there's an actual wire connecting your joystick to the flaps and all that stuff,
Mm,
right? Uh, a lot of modern jets, it's digital. So you
which
better
is
hope you,
terrifying.
yeah, and you think drift on a controller's bad. Like, imagine you're going 500 miles an hour and you got a little bit of drift in the stick. Like, no.
Some Battletoads turbo tunnel there. But yeah,
Realistic flight sim? Nah.
I'm trying to even think of what the best realistic, quote unquote, realistic game I ever played was. I gave up on Red Dead. I gave up apparently 3 to 4 hours from the end of Red Dead 2, as I found out. So I got
Yeah.
really far into Red Dead 2, but like I gave up because the realism just
Got
grated on me.
monotonous.
Great. I mean, I like because thing is, I like the era. Like I'm intrigued by the era, but like I'm also someone who did go out to reenactments and stuff like that. So I am very aware of how boring and hard and exhausting doing anything from the late 1800s actually is. So I have an appreciation on that aspect, but also yeah, that stuff's intensely boring
Gets
sometimes.
monotonous. I mean, the thing is I like doing that stuff. I mean, I'm not a cowboy, but like I
I
like
mean,
that.
cleaning your horse, cleaning your guns,
Yeah.
which is all real things.
Yeah, you got to clean everything every day, and the dust. Like, people are like, "Yeah, man, dusters are so cool. Why'd we stop wearing those? Because we didn't have to deal with trail dust, and trail dust literally eats away your clothing on you.
Yeah,
It gets into the fibers and just like strips you. So you wear
yes.
this cheap, thin duster coat.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I did a lot of fun stuff in Red Dead 2. Like when I got to the big town, there was the man on the literal soapbox guy. He was preaching racism, whatever. Like I'm a racist, and so I lassoed him and I drug him through the streets, and then I went out to the swamp and I literally fed him to a crocodile or an alligator. Sorry. So I
How dare
feeding
you.
an avowed racist to an alligator was pretty awesome. There is random clan meetings in the woods, which that was fun because I threw a stick of dynamite.
Where
I threw it
where
right
does
into the
Red Dead
middle of them.
where does Red Dead 2 take place precisely?
Um, they don't say specific states, but it's along the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, I'm sorry, America, whatever. It's actually it's east of Texas. Like
Look,
it's
everybody's
supposed
gonna
to
get mad at
be
me, but Gulf of America is technically correct because the continent is America.
whatever.
So
Uh, so it's they don't actually say, but it's more Louisiana, Arkansas. I want to say no, not Arkansas. More ish Louisiana because they never actually say official states. Now,
it's like
Red
Bayou
Dead,
and shit.
yeah, because there's there's plantations and stuff you go to. There's the city in the far eastern part of the map is not Texas in any
I bet
nature,
you it's Missouri. I bet you it takes
kind
place
of, but
Missouri.
it's also on the coast.
It is on the coast. There's ocean.
Yeah,
Huh.
so that's what I'm saying. It's kind of more Louisiana area, and then the Red Dead One map is supposed to be Arizona, New Mexico, or kind of like more New Mexico.
Yeah, I knew Red Dead
Um,
1 was like Arizona
yeah,
territory.
Arizona, New Mexico territory on the Mexican border. So
New Mexico has the prettiest desert I've ever been in. New Mexico's gorgeous.
it is. It is. But yeah, I
Ridiculously
did I
pretty.
did I did fun things. I did fun things in Red Dead 2. Throwing a stick of dynamite into a clan meeting and feeding a racist to a gator. Um there were moments I treasured in that game. And then there's the part where like you get stuck in Cuba for a little bit um in Red Dead 2.
I got to
So
replay Red Dead 2. It's just so much.
Good luck, man. But the realism, it gets to you, man. It eventually just gets to you, where it's like, this takes too long.
You got to
This takes
sharpen your knife 3 times to finish skinning an animal.
Yes, exactly. Stuff like that. Like how because before it was just sort of like, yeah, there's a little animation of like John going to cut the animal up. This one, it's like it's very detailed of cutting and folding, and then like you have to carry the skin and put it on the back of your horse. And I'm like, oh my god.
The worst. I'm trying to like, I like realistic elements to games. Certain realistic elements can be very, very fun. But like games that strive for like over realism to get the monotony, like imagine you I don't want to call any one game out either. Uh the idea of having to manually load your magazines in a war game where you got to carry a bunch of like loose ammunition to reload your magazines in the middle of a gunfight rather than just being able to have magazines loaded. And it's like, well, yeah, if you ran out of ammo, you'd have to sit there and plug in. Like, you go fuck yourself. Just like I'm sorry, I'm here to have fun. You know, like in real life, a gunfight wouldn't be when if you got into a real life gunfight, you wouldn't be running down a street firing full auto or throwing hand grenades willy nilly or
Yeah, yeah.
like you wouldn't be doing any of this shit. So why do I have to load ammunition, one by one? Um, or like realistic medical. It's just not fun. It sucks the fun out of it. You got to stop doing that. Um, but I also I'm trying to think of like in survival games that take hydration management too far, where it's like it's not even really realistic anymore.
Yeah, there was a
It's like
game
every 15 minutes you got to drink a gallon of water.
exactly like that. That reminded me of a game called Lost in Blue. Actually, that was a great name. It's about it's a game where it's a whole series of games on the DS where you get shipwrecked on an island, and it's a survival game about surviving on an island.
Hell
The
yeah.
problem is that your hunger and thirst levels are insanely unreal. You eat a whole fucking crab, right? And that'll last you 10 in-game minutes of you walking.
I got bad news. Crabs have like no nutritional value. Like, yes, that's actually true.
Doesn't matter what you eat.
You'll starve to death eating crab.
It's not my point here. Is
I know
that
what
you
you're
eat
saying.
a whole goddamn crab. You could fill up your entire like your meter for your thirst, by whatever means, coconuts, draining, whatever, fill freshwater streams. But you'll be thirsty in minutes.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Like you can last longer than this. Like you go because the thing is you learn to spearfish, right? So you start spearfishing. You eat a whole. You eat like multiple fish and you're hungry in minutes. And I'm like, okay, we should not be basing this off of me. Like,
Yeah, no, I hate that too. Although, if you haven't watched it and you're all like, what I really want is to see people actually trying to survive and how hard it is, watch Alone.
mm,
That is one, in 2 seasons, you'll be an expert. You'll be like, this fucking idiot. What does he do? He's setting up his camp in the right, like you wouldn't, like you'd set it up in the perfect spot. Oh, he's surviving in the Arctic. What an asshole. He's doing the wrong thing. Everybody knows you bring a gill net. Like, you're an expert on survival when you've watched like a season of the show. But it is also incredible to see how insanely difficult.
were you ever
Actual
one of those
surviving.
kids? Because when I taught in education, all at some point, all the old I forgot what grade, they all had to read Hatchet.
Yeah. Oh, I loved Hatchet.
Did you have to read Hatchet?
Yeah. And I
I
love
never had. I didn't read Hatchet, but I know like all these kids had to read Hatchet. It was like a survival story about a kid who plane crashed in the Canadian wilderness and had to survive with a hatchet.
yeah, his dad works for like the oil companies or a logging company or something like that, and he has to take a bush plane, and the guy has a heart attack on the way up. And his mom, who he's fighting with, gives him a hatchet, and it's like a point of annoyance where she makes him put it on his belt, and they're like
Mm.
fighting over it because he thinks it's so lame. And so when the plane goes down, it's the only thing he has. And he survives for a couple of weeks, and then he dives down to the plane and gets the actual survival kit from the plane, which has an automatic beacon that goes off, and he finally gets rescued. Yeah, no, I love that book.
You know, he wrote a sequel book where, like, what if he didn't get rescued? What if he couldn't? Like, he had to survive the winter. It's called like Brian's Winter or something.
I did not know that. Does it end with him dying?
I don't
Because
know.
he has no clothing and he's not going to kill a moose with a hatchet. That's not going to work out. No, but that's why I took like survival classes. It's because I loved the hatchet as a kid. We had to do this. Um, like project where we had to, by the details of the book, map out the path that the bush plane took and see which lake he might have crashed at, and like determine a search pattern. I think we were in like sixth grade. I went overboard. I had like rented out like search and rescue books from the library to design, and then a bunch of classmates chose the wrong spot. I still contend to this day as a 35-year-old man who can't let shit go. But yeah, I fucking love the hatchet. I also love Alone.
Kind of surprising I never made a game based off of that, or like that's also another thing. I mean, well, I mean, education.
Well, they did. It's Arc. Just survival games. I like survival games, but every survival game has to add in some sort of like combat thing, and they're like MMOs, so people can come mess with your camp, and that's all anybody does. Anytime
It's
you
just
have
griefing simulators.
anytime you have the option to do that, you're gonna do it. And look, I'm part of the problem. We smell our own. Like I'm immediately gonna grief. That's all I'm gonna do. Like, because I know that's
Well,
what's
I'm just
coming.
saying, like, because when I was young, they made us play like the first version of Oregon Trail, and
That's a realistic game.
as I always say, the Oregon Trail is just the elementary school version of the Kobayashi Maru. If you're a Star Trek geek, an unwinnable scenario because there is no way to actually win the Oregon Trail. You can get to Oregon in the Oregon Trail, but you are never getting to the end of the Oregon Trail with your entire family intact. That just doesn't happen. The game assures you that you will never make it there intact. You will barely get there if you get there at all, kind of thing. Which
There's this
I tried all different scenarios of bum rushing it. I even tried the Elon Musk approach of just like having a bunch of kids just so that they can all die on the way over there. Thinking like they're going to buffer my main character. My main character will live because the rest of them will die. The game will have too many children to keep track of. So I won't get bit
wow.
by the rattlesnake, randomly. They will. So,
Look, one of the number one reasons people died on those trails and stuff, like of dysentery, is because people just didn't wash their hands.
no, and they just all drank downstream or whatever. Like,
Well, I mean, it's not even necessarily that they drank from like bad water sources, although that did happen. But also, like they would, I don't know, take a shit and wipe their ass, and there's no poop on your hands, right? Right? I'm gonna go eat this piece of chicken with my clean hands that I have not washed with soap and water.
in a month.
Yeah, or they'll get a little cut on their hands or something like that. Like people don't realize how and it's true today. It's just that today you have access, like literally everything's cleaner today, but people are still just as bad about it.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
my favorite washing hands thing is that when they started to enforce germ theory on doctors, the guy who was like, "Hey, we should wash our hands," was so bullied by other surgeons who felt it offensive that they should have to wash their hands before doing surgery that he ended up going to an insane asylum. They bullied him so hard for having the audacity of being like, "Hey, maybe wash your fucking hands, Ted." You know, and he was like, "What are you talking about? I've cut loads of legs off, and only half my patients have died." So, I mean, like, we're not exactly like Oregon Trails. We're basically just one bad week away from Oregon trailing everything again. Like my mom was a nurse, and so like she was anal retentive about washing hands, as most nurses are. And so like I wash my hands while I'm cooking. If like I don't cross contaminate
Right. Yeah.
ever. And so like my wife who cooks and bakes and stuff is just like, you just wash your hands after you're done. And I'm like, right, but I don't want to cross contaminate. She's like, yeah, the cilantro is really going to ruin the jalapeno. Or, I'm being insane, but also no one's ever gotten sick from my cooking ever. So my hands are extremely clean.
You make a good realistic cooking simulator. But yeah, anyways, my point too was also I'm surprised they never made like a hatchet video game. Oh, can you survive with a hatchet in the Canadian wilderness or
Canadian
whatever?
wilderness. I mean, that would be cool for me and about 6 other dudes who really latched onto the hatchet. Like,
Well, like you said, you're not killing a moose with a hatchet because if you've seen a moose, those things are kaiju,
yeah. Look,
basically.
if I was stuck alone in the Canadian wilderness for long enough, I'd try. I'd try. It'd be like I'd rather just die. Like, I'd get after it. And I am in no way there is no world and no delusion where I think I could beat a bear or a moose in a fight. I'm saying if I was hungry enough, I'd give it a fucking shot. I'd give it, and actually, my insanity is that I'd probably give it a shot before I was hungry enough. Like, I would make that decision where like I got to do it before I'm too weak. It'd be me, this hatchet, and death.
Well, I can still stand.
So there's this key part of the book where he eats a bunch of berries because he thinks he's found the motherlode. He just shits his guts out for a whole chapter. And it's only that because he's next to a clean lake that he survives because he can keep drinking water.
Hmm.
That would have to be an entire section of the game. It's just a mini game of you crawling to your latrine so that you don't shit everywhere on the things that are clean in your little hovel.
Yeah, there's a
Don't
lot of
shit
dumb.
near your water source.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb things that can go wrong in a survival situation. So it's always funny how people are so drawn to the survival aspect of it, and it's just kind of like, yeah, it usually ends with you eating the wrong berry and shitting your guts out. Like,
Yeah, well, if it's less than 72 hours, don't eat anything at all. This is the number one thing. This is the water, shelter, fire. Don't touch any food. If you didn't bring it in with you, just don't touch it. It's the safest way, unless you actually know how to forage. Otherwise, then you got to do some testing. But if you're
which
going
makes you
beyond,
also wonder. I don't know what it's like, but like, do all the weirdos in Canada who fly over the wilderness that is most of Northwest Territories and whatnot, like, probably should just have like a big kit, a survival kit, like
oh,
just
they
on
do, yeah. Bush
any
plane
sort of
kit.
plane.
Google bush plane survival kits. There's Best Glide, I think, is a company that makes them. It's a huge duffel.
Yeah,
It's a
like I don't think
massive duffel.
I don't think anyone, if you're flying in and around that area, nobody should just be going, in any vehicle without like a big survival kit ready to go.
I mean, to be honest, there's people do dumb stuff all the time. Like uh there had to be a law made that if you were going to operate uh, you know, like a boat on the ocean, you had to carry medical supplies in the event of emergency. And this was pushed back against in like the 70s or something because
God.
ship captains were all like, well, now I have to spend $1,000 on a 12-man medical kit in case I shipwreck. Or my favorite one of all time, and you can still find interviews of boomers in the 80s when they made drinking and driving illegal.
Oh, you can find the commercials.
You can find the
Dude,
interviews.
that interview is insane. There's a mother in a car with a baby in a baby seat next to her, whining about not being able to drink a beer or wine in
Yeah.
the car while she's driving, and I'm not gonna do it, kind of thing.
I just think I'm a man in America. I get done working a shift and maybe I want to have a beer or two on the drive home. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Goddamn, man.
And the thing was, this was the '80s, man. This wasn't even that long ago.
This is before cars, before you could survive car crashes. Have you seen that video of like a modern car hitting a car from like the 1950s? And
No, I'm sure the modern car crumbles.
oh, they both crumble, but like the dude inside the modern car hits airbags and they show the forces and stuff, and it's
Mm.
below concussion level. They hit him at 50 miles an hour. Each
Yeah.
car's going 50. The guy in the like it's like a Chevy Bel Air or something like that. You just watch him hit every hard surface in slow motion, It's just he hits the steering wheel, then he hits the roof, then he hits the window, then he hits the headrest that used to be a headrest, but now it's just the spikes that hold the head. It's just bashing it, and you're just like, oh yeah. I guess it sucks that cars are plastic now, but people survive most car crashes.
Yeah.
So there's that. Um, one of my overregulation can be like this thing that people scream about till they're blue in the face. But one of my favorite thing is like regulations didn't happen in a vacuum.
Right.
Like,
I mean, as a kid, I hated when the law came in that you had to wear a helmet when riding a bike, and I resisted it forever. And I finally
yeah,
just I gave in. But like we would hear stuff from. I mean, we even had like a kid in like my third grade class talk about like there was a kid on their street and they weren't wearing a helmet. And they hit a mailbox, one of the metal mailboxes, and their head just split open, just blood everywhere.
yeah,
And they're like, "Wear a helmet." And I'm like, "Fine." And so but like at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, if because if I was on like one of those bike trails that had bricks on the side or whatever, and I fell and my head landed on a brick, I'm like, I'm pretty much dead.
oh yeah.
So
And if you're gonna buy a helmet today, buy a certified helmet. They're like $20 more, but all the testing shows certified helmets perform way better. And most uncertified helmets are basically like wearing a baseball hat. Like
yeah.
it's there's no point. Like don't worry about it.
Luckily, I
Um
never got into anything, but
yeah, well, I'm an old
plan.
man trying to relearn balance to skate again, which I haven't done since I was like 15 or something like
Where
that.
is skate for?
I never coming. But that's another good example. You know why skating games are so fun? They're not realistic.
Because they're unrealistic as all get out.
They're not realistic at all because half the best tricks to do in a skating game take years of practice to get to, and like it doesn't matter how much your cousin lies about it. Like they're not doing it.
Right.
Like they're not pulling that trick off. Uh, mm-mm. Or like the fact that you can attempt staircase jumps and not die.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, like the thing is, like you do one thing in like a Tony Hawk game. It's like, oh, Tony Hawk did a what is it, a 900 or a 720 or something at some point.
Yeah.
He did the 900. And I'm like, dude, it took his whole career to get to that point to do it once,
And how many
kind of thing.
concussions he got doing it,
Right.
even
So it's kind of
after
like,
he knew how he could do it.
even if these moves are based off of real moves, it's like you're not busting out like that. Like
Yeah, when some like there's I know I've said in the past where I'm like, "Oh, it's a little bit more realistic and I like that," and stuff like that. But like anybody who wants a truly realistic game, I feel like they're lying to themselves. Or it's a game where they want realism because they're already good at that thing.
mm.
I think it'll give them the edge if it's more realistic.
You know
It's
what? Actually, I can tell you what the most realistic game I've ever played was.
huh.
Any poker game.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Any poker or blackjack game, especially when I lose.
Because you just get raged.
Yeah, just that's realistic. Like, oh man, I've got a 20, I've got a 20, like I'm definitely standing, hit, or you get two cards and I don't know, you get like a 12, right? And like you double down on it or whatever, and you get an 8. So you got 20, and you're like, there's no way I can lose. Dealer pulls 5 fucking cards and gets 21. I'm like, yep, that's realistic.
Yeah, that's how that works. That's beautiful. I'm I played Arma one time and I liked Arma 3, but I'm not well, all right, I'll do it. Gray Zone Warfare. Uh I like the game, and if you're playing with a group regularly, you probably have a great time. But I don't know that it'll ever be like a widely hyper play. It's not. I don't think it'll ever be like PUBG or Warzone, or that specifically because medical is so realistic. Gunfights are really realistic, and so what happens is you end up sitting in one space waiting for somebody to walk into your field of view to kill them,
Right.
and that's like 80% of the game, and that's not necessarily bad, I guess. If that's like bad's not the right term, but like a realistic gunfight is pants shitting terrifying and mostly boring. Like you're just running and laying down and hoping. Like it's not gonna. It's not going to carry like the PvE part. I like a lot because you're with the team and so. But PvP, people just like lay in the grass and wait for you for hours.
Oh yeah, they have the problem where like they'll go and they'll wait at a
Helicopter pad, which they've
yeah,
sort of
like a
mitigated.
helipad site where people get dropped off when they go out in the field, and they'll wait near a drop off point for people to
Right.
land just to shoot them,
And
even if they're on the same side.
to their credit, they have mitigated that some, but like every time you have to mitigate that, you are getting rid of realism. And so when their goal is to be like hyper realistic, you're going to have all these problems that
Well, yeah. Well, here's the problem: is we're all
just
just we're,
fuck
we're all just
realism.
people sitting at home, right? Here's the problem: is if someone was going to go work for like a PMC or whatever, right? It takes a certain kind of person to like to go through all of that. Say, okay, I am going to train, go through whatever military service to get trained and how to operate and do all that, and then I'm going to join this group. I'm going to fly out to this country, this small country somewhere, and I'm going to do all that. And someone's not going to go through all that just so they can sit in the field and shoot people as they come off a helicopter like Elmer Fudd, like, you're right. But you can do that because all you had to do was download a game and start the game and then walk to an area.
I mean,
That's
if
all
I
it
had
took.
to choose how to fight somebody in a real life or death thing, yeah, I would wait until they're getting off helicopter. I'd mow their
Sure,
ass
but
down.
we're talking about like your own crew, your own company you're working
Yeah.
for, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, it's not team killing then. it's it's a crime. Uh, no, yeah, no, realism. I'm trying to think of like realistic elements. Fun, being realistic is always it's a red flag for me whenever someone's main complaint about a game is it's not realistic enough because I don't think that that's a legitimate criticism of basically any game. Like if you're saying that you don't like, certain elements of the game, okay. But if you're saying the reason you don't like those elements is because they're not realistic, it's like, but you're playing a game. Hide and seek isn't realistic either. Like turn your brain off a little bit. Yeah, it's like people who go and watch movies and say like, "Oh, that would never happen in real life." Of course. This is a fucking movie.
That's why you're at the movie.
It's- You're at the movie to see things that wouldn't happen in real life. Like, why are you doing
I
this?
mean, like as far as realism goes, going back to original Blackout to me is kind of like I love Blackout because it's the only time I enjoyed stealth because it was human on human stealth. Like the stealth was, can I literally see this person moving or not? And that is, or hear them. And if I do, then yeah. So now the game's unrealistic, with
Yeah.
the reloading speed, or just like, just jamming a thing in your arm to get your health back or whatever. Um, but it was realistic enough to the point where it's like, okay, if you go and sit in a bush, go prone in tall grass, probably not going to be spotted.
Well, that's one of the best things about Gray Zone Warfare is the camouflaging works.
But
Like you're
yeah,
wearing camo,
but
you
it's
lay
not
down
like
in the
it's
bush.
not like it's not like this weird arbitrary number system where it's like, okay, your percentage is high enough so that you literally vanish off the screen. No, it's just you just naturally realistically blend into something.
Right. Yeah. No. In Gray Zone Warfare, though, like the reason you pick camouflages is like they work.
Yeah.
You can be walking through the bush 10 meters away from somebody, and if you're moving correctly, they can't see you really. That is a cool, realistic element. The problem is that then people just lay in a bush and just wait for you. like, like you can't, and you can never go back to your body because some dude is just laying off a footpath waiting for you to go back to your body.
So they can shoot you again.
Absolutely. And like again, I get it. I would too. It just doesn't make for a particularly fun game. Although your first life when you're kitted up, pretty exciting. It gets spicy. But if you're that sad sack of shit that gets sniped immediately, like the moment you walk out of your safe zone, just dead in a field. Yeah, not very fun. Um, I'm picking on Gray Zone because I like it equal parts for the realism and I'm frustrated by it for equal part. If you could heal just by like wrapping a bandage around, or like, a medic has to come up and heal you, I think that would solve like 80% of my problems. When
It's just a
I
quicker healing system. Even though it's kind of like the thing though is how you have to sort of suture your wounds or remove bullets or stitch
y-
and sort of like just how they go about it is kind of like a big
yeah,
feature because they put so much work into how the game calculates where you get hit. Like every like the full rig of your character
yeah,
is calculated. It's not kind of like in Call of Duty, it's like, okay, if it hits the
10%.
general chest
Yeah.
area, it's like, okay, you need 3 bullets to do a down. If it hits anywhere in the chest, any part of the chest, like 1 bullet or 2 bullets in the head,
Right.
kind of thing. So
And again, I understand that and I appreciate the work they put into it. I do think it is extremely impressive, but also it is going to be frustrating by its nature. Specifically when you're like walking and you just get like hosed through a bush because a person's laying there is no fight. Ambushes are very fun in GZW if you're the one doing the ambushing.
yeah, I know, yeah.
You know, I'm part of it is like, why is Warzone, why are battle royales so goofy fun? And it's like, well, if they were trying to be realistic about a public or like a battle royale, none of that shit would be fun. You couldn't just like open and close your parachute to jump off a building, and
Right, yeah.
like there's so many elements of it that are great because it is unrealistic. But then you turn around and go like, I wish the gunplay was more realistic. I shot that dude in the head twice. Why didn't he die? That's so unrealistic. And it's like, well, yeah, it's not a real, you're not playing real life. Go play Crazy
Problem is
Taxi, dude.
you'd get those cracked out of their minds players with specifically special mouses, special keyboards, whatever, and they're just
Yes.
or just hit scanning or whatever or cheating straight up, or they're just like, oh, any gun, as long as it hits you in the head, you can die. Girl, this is perfect. This is perfect
Yeah.
for me. I'm just gonna move around like with all kinds of jacked up personal drugs
Yeah.
and
Well, it's like
keyboard mouse
people are like, how
cheating
come
systems.
bring
You
back
just
one shot snipers? And it's like, well, all the people who don't use performance enhancing codes, let's call it that, don't mind one shot snipers being gone because they're not pulling off headshots immediately from 1,000 yards and shit. Um, like I one shot down snipers in the original Warzone when you could do that was fun. I did I did like it.
I'll bet you did.
Yeah, I did like it. Like I especially when you had guys camping the airport tower
Oh yeah.
like that was fun. Downing a person in one shot, great. By the time Warzone 2 came around and like there were way more cheats out there than there
Which is
were in the
funny
first.
because they it tried to implement a big, was it ricochet or whatever, anti cheat.
Yeah, and it worked for a while, but it didn't too many things get through because there's too much money in cheats now.
Obviously.
So it's like,
And we all knew that was
mm.
going to happen anyways. We're all new. Like you're just
And it's
somewhat
not,
stemming the tide for a little bit.
if you're actually, when you're paying, like it isn't that commonplace. Like it's not so overwhelmingly well, actually, to be fair, I haven't played in several months Warzone right now, but
Yeah, same with
um,
me.
you know, it wasn't ever like every game you get into half the people are cheat. Like I'd run into a cheater once a day kind of
Yeah.
thing. And sometimes they would actually get banned mid-game. So
Yeah.
it's not like it was failing totally. Any
Oh,
final
I
thought
remember
on
one
Realism
time.
Games?
I remember one time a guy, a cheater, he killed me, and I went on his kill cam, and his kill cam was him like starting to like spin out or whatever, and they're like, "Oh no, 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 check it out, watch it." It wasn't a kill cam; it was actually he killed me, so it went to him because you're out of the game now, and I watched the guy get banned in real time
Hell
on
yeah.
his kill cam because it did this thing where like his movement got stuck, and he was literally like just went in a corner spinning around, and it wasn't like intentional, and then all of a sudden the account was just gone, and I was like, "Yeah, the account was deleted."
Was it Warzone that did the whole like if you're caught cheating now they just put you in lobbies with other cheaters? What was the
Yeah,
game that did
Shadow
that?
Warzone did that shadow banned.
Yeah.
We had a we you know, there's someone I play with. I don't know if he listens to the podcast or not, but he got shadow banned twice because he had really terrible internet connection. So he would use his cell phone as a hotspot and then Wi-Fi his game console onto his cell phone hotspot. So it looked just real bad, but he was real good at the game and he was born in his lag molded by it. So he got shadow banned twice.
You shame this man. Who is this that is doing this?
I think he has internet now, but he got shadow banned
That's the
twice
most that's
because
the most
he lived, I guess, so far away from any decent internet connection.
that upsets me.
He was good enough at the game,
But
young and good enough.
no, look, was he actually good or was the
Yes,
lag
he
working in
is.
his favor?
No,
Okay.
he was actually good because you could
Man,
see I could see him play. You know, if I was watching him as a teammate, and I'd be like, I don't even know how you're doing this, man. You are guessing so much of the time.
man, that's wild.
He got shadow banned twice just because he lags so much.
The worst thing of like someone who wasn't cheating but kept getting reported for cheating, uh a buddy of mine when we used to play the original Gears of War, he taped like a plastic reticle to the very center of his screen. Like he found the exact center of his screen where the reticle would be for the sniper so that he could just do one hot shot hits with the sniper without aiming down sights because he always did that. And he did that forever and he would constantly get reported. And I don't even know if he ever actually got banned because I don't know if they banned anybody really. Like there was always rumors of people getting banned on the 360, but I don't think he ever actually got banned. But he was doing like that. And so even when he was lagging, he would be able to pull off these insane shots from like across the map because he drew a reticle on his screen. As soon as we stopped playing that game, like stenciling a reticle onto your TV is maybe the most insane thing I've ever heard. So he played every Gears when when it came out. I don't know. That's I don't know if that works for any other game. Like I don't know if a reticle on your screen would work for COD to no
Yeah.
scope shooting.
I
Maybe.
mean, they literally put a tiny dot to where the center of the screen even is. You don't even have to.
Right.
It's like part of the game now.
Right, yeah, no, but like having the little reticle where like if the head is inside this circle
Ah,
on your screen, the head's gonna pop. That kind of thing. So it's like I don't it's just such a key touchstone point in time where like I imagine if you're young enough listening to this, you're all like, I don't know, what are they talking about? Rotary telephones? Like this is what year was that? 2007, 2008?
sounds around, but yeah.
Seven, yeah. In the ye olden times, almost 20 years ago. Jesus. Never mind. I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's making me feel any final thought on realistic F realism?
Yeah, I mean, general F realism because it's just not interesting to me. Like when I'm playing a game, I want to see a place I've never seen. I want to do a thing I've never done. I want to hear music I've never heard. I want
So you
to
don't like true crime LA.
No,
You don't like true
I
crime.
was kind of like at the time I was like, oh wow, it's really based on LA, and then I realized like it's just kind of yeah. I mean, not even Christopher Walken could save it. Like
Sleeping Dogs, though, for the exact same reasons, was great because I had never been to
yeah,
Hong
and I
Kong.
remember
And
seeing that game. I remember seeing that game at E3. To get it actually looked pretty cool and actually played okay too. I remember it was like the
oh, it's a great
last
game.
game I played one year at E3. It was like the last game I played of the whole show. But you're a martial artist in that game.
Well, yeah, you're in a triad.
You do cool stuff. Uh,
Yes, but also you're exploring Hong Kong, which is I haven't been, but several of my friends who have been are like it's basically New York on a hillside. Like it's in a basin if New York
yeah.
was built in an amphitheater style hill.
Mhm.
And so it's just like huge building. I don't know. It's supposed to be a really crazy city.
Yeah.
That and like the
I
population is
I wish there's been multiple games, but none of them I've ever really seen to really seem to hit it perfectly. But I wish that we could do a game like on Kowloon, you know,
I mean, that would be cool.
like really get into like a weird. They tried. There was a survival horror game like Slitterhead, but apparently it wasn't that good. And Shenmue 2's in Kowloon, but it's Shenmue 2, so ugh.
Shenmue, the greatest game that's ever been made.
So I'm still waiting for something that really makes like a really good something like Sleeping Dogs, but also includes something like as really messed up as that.
Shenmue is the perfect example, or like the perfect litmus test of how realistic
Oh
a
man.
game do you want? Do you want to be realistic? Play Shenmue. It's terrible.
If you want a game to be fun, play Yakuza 0.
Right. And if you want to be realistic, play Shenmue.
Right, because Shenmue is early 80s or mid late 80s Japan, and Yakuza 0 is mid late 80s Japan as well, but more like middle of Tokyo, not so much like the more.
Well, I'd say the biggest difference is that one of them's fun.
Right, exactly. One of them's fun. I mean, you can say that, and you can say Shenmue crawled so Yakuza could run. Maybe true, but
That's
Shenmue still sucks.
Shenmue Elite is very mad. And on that note, we've got producers to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/EOVideogames podcast. Our producers for this episode are Dragon Wolf Makoto, Osnight, Zybernite, Skernami, Kroy35, Hyper Viper 89, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.